tomorrow for the Catalyst. What's it called? The Catalyst Christian Leadership event, something along those lines. It's gonna be in like Orange County area, and so I'm here with a couple friends. They're driving. Got this giant, what's it called? Giant bus or whatever it is. Bus, giant van. The ceilings are super tall. Can barely reach the ceiling. But yeah, definitely can see the sunlight, which is a little abnormal from Portland area. 8 p.m. in Pennsylvania. Very cool. Awesome. So just wanted to go live, see what's going on, see how you guys are doing. Tara says legitimately just logged onto YouTube. Saw I had a live stream for right now. How cool. Yeah, you hit it at the right time. Nate the Great, good to see you, man. Thanks for the kind words. And you're asking if where I go to church or where I would recommend. I go to a church in Portland. It's actually a church plant. It hasn't even launched yet. We're going to be launching in April, and we'll be launching that church then. But church recommendations, I mean, you just kind of have to search around and like really test and see what churches are good, which ones are not. You know, gotta test them out. But yeah, I go to a Seventh-day Adventist church as far as like a denomination, so you can maybe check that one out. But obviously you have to kind of test out the waters a little bit. Sam, hey, how's it going? What is a Bible verse that's speaking to you currently? Bible verse that's speaking to me currently? That's a good question. Let me think about that. Okay, so I just did the video on overcoming fear. So I think that's like a theme. That's been like I think that's kind of been in my mind lately. Just kind of going out of my comfort zone more so. Emily and I are really working on some potential projects for 2018. We can't really disclose exactly what they are yet, but though that project requires a lot of faith, a lot of trust, even more so than like the whole quitting the job thing and doing the YouTube channel and all that kind of good stuff. So it's not really like a single verse, but the theme of trusting God, the theme of going out in faith is kind of like the major theme that I've been thinking of lately. So yeah, 3 Angels 1844. Okay, what denomination are you? I'm Seventh-day Adventist, and I know that you know that already. Just reading your channel name. Let's see what else. Hannah on a break from New Zealand. Good to see you. Awesome. New Zealand. I'm hoping sometime in my life I'll be able to go down to New Zealand, check it out. Let's see. Do I have any praises going into this week? Yeah, totally, completely. Being able to go on this road trip going into California is a huge praise because it's been like super rainy, borderline like depressing up in the Northwest lately because it's just like rain. It doesn't actually ever stop. So being able to go out where it's sunny is really, really nice, and just really happy to be able to go back down to California. It's always nice when I get to go to California, for sure. I'm going to do this real quick. I'm actually sharing the live stream to my Facebook account, so if you're not following me on Facebook, you can do that. Let me see real quick. If you're not following me on Facebook yet, definitely hit me up on Facebook. That's usually where you can find out like more of the personal day-to-day type stuff when I'm not making videos. I'm really active on that kind of stuff. It's a really good place to connect with me. I'll just share that on Facebook right now. Let's see, favorite worship song. Favorite worship song is anything right now by Rivers and Robots or Elevation Worship is really, really, really good. I'm trying to think if there's anything in particular. Honestly, I don't really know the names of the songs very well, so I always just listen to them and I never really like pay attention too much. I put them like more on the background, like ambient sounds more than anything else. So I couldn't tell you the name. Hey Ben, want to join me on a live stream real quick?
Let's do it, man.
I got someone asking me. They're asking what denomination I am. So I told them Seventh-day Adventist, and now they're asking what is a Seventh-day Adventist. Want to give them like the 2-minute version? terrible. Hold on. Okay, so this is my buddy Ben. Ben's the guy that's organizing the trip, and he is helping us out. And we're gonna. Oh man, I'm getting bad connection right now. Like literally in this moment, it's going down the edge. That sucks. Oh, it went back up to LTE. Okay, cool. So this is Ben. He's the guy that's organizing the trip down to California, and people are asking, what is a Seventh-day Adventist? And maybe if you can give that answer in like 30 seconds to a minute, what is a Seventh-day Adventist?
Okay, man, I'm going to do my best. All right. Seventh-day Adventist is a Christian who believes that the Bible is the living Word of God. And I think what makes Seventh-day Adventist a little unique is that we are very mission-driven on getting the world ready for the second coming of Jesus Christ. And so really believing in a full life of mission. Everything we do, interacting with family, friends, co-workers, is really about helping introduce Jesus with the urgency that he really is coming back soon. And, you know, I think with being a Seventh-day Adventist, we also are really into a holistic life centered on Christ. And so that goes into how we engage with our community. We love the idea of taking off a full 24-hour period to spend with our community and with Jesus. We call that the Sabbath. And we look at...
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I got people saying that the connection went black for a second. Okay, you guys are back online. I think we're back online. I'm not having the red notification. Did you guys hear anything that Ben just said, or should we be starting over? Sorry about that. I just switched to T-Mobile, and T-Mobile's way cheaper, but it's not always very reliable, so that's not great. This is bad advertising for T-Mobile, but okay, so they're saying start over. Okay, so what I was saying is, this is my buddy Ben. Ben is the guy that's helping organize our road trip down to California and all that kind of good stuff. And he is one of the church leaders from the Oregon area. So I'm asking him to answer the question, what is a Seventh-day Adventist? Because that's one of the questions that you guys were asking. And someone's named Tem says, hi, Ben. I don't know if they know you or not.
I don't know either.
Okay, so let's go. Give you the camera. Okay, so sorry about that. You have to do it one more time. But what is a Seventh-day Adventist? You gave a great answer so far.
So a Seventh-day Adventist is a Christian who believes the Bible is the living Word of God. And I think that's not unique to all different denominations or believers, followers of Jesus. But Seventh-day Adventists really look at the second coming of Jesus as the urgency for everything we do with ministry and mission and life. And so I think that idea that Jesus really is coming soon gives urgency and mission to everything that I do as a Seventh-day Adventist, the way I interact with my family, the way I take care of my body and try to keep myself healthy, the way I interact with my social community, my career community. And so, you know, I think there's things that we share in common with a ton of different denominations. But again, I think it's the urgency that Jesus really is coming soon, and we believe that. I believe that. And that really has a role in every area of life.
Awesome. Yeah, like the whole Seventh-day Adventist part thing, that word Advent means like coming of. So like when you think of Christmas, they call it the Advent season, the Advent calendar, or whatever the case, like the countdown to Christmas is the Advent calendar, which means like it's the season of the year where we celebrate the first coming of Jesus. That's the Advent. So a Seventh-day Adventist is someone who believes very strongly in the second coming or the soon coming of Jesus. And that's like one of the major things that kind of dictates what we believe and how we live our life and all the kind of good stuff. So comment section got way quiet. Did we just freak you guys out, or what's going on? Or did the connection, did we lose you? Set sail. Good to see you guys. John, all the way in the UK. Gonna be seeing you pretty soon. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy.
Tim is asking, is that the main distinction of the denomination? I would say that that's a major one. So the whole Advent concept is a major distinction of the denomination. And then obviously the first phrase of the word Seventh Day, and then Adventist just means that we believe strongly that the proper Sabbath day is the one that's spoken of in Genesis and in Exodus, and the one that the Jews kept, which was on Saturday. So generally speaking, we try and do our corporate fellowship or church worship on Saturdays. So that's pretty much it. Oh, here's a good question. Santos is asking, do I think the second coming of Jesus is coming in my lifetime? I'm going to switch microphones real quick because that's a really good question. Oh, it's already on the iPhone. Okay, sweet. What do you think, Ben? Santos is asking, do I think that the second coming of Jesus is going to be coming in my lifetime, or maybe in your lifetime? Your lifetime might be shorter than mine because you're old.
Is the camera on me?
Yeah, it's on you. Go ahead.
Okay, here's what I would respond to that question. I think a lot of people have believed that Jesus is coming in their lifetime. I believe that because of what I've seen, Matthew 24, kind of around what's happening in the world. But the reality is nobody really knows. But the other reality is that you and I have a lifespan of influence as leaders for Christ. And so whether Jesus comes in our...
we got a bad connection again. This is terrible. T-Mobile.
I was really onto something good.
Good. Okay, people are saying offline again. Okay, so give me a second. I got to get the good connection again. I got this red bar above the top. Oh, okay. The struggle. Sorry.
The T-Mobile
Is it working?
Are you on Facebook?
I'm on YouTube. We got about 20 people watching. Okay, back on. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Some of you guys said that you heard it. Okay, so Alan, maybe that's on your fault. That's not my fault. No, it probably is mine because my YouTube live stream is saying bad connection. So we're gonna keep on trying. But you were on to something. Go. Start over again.
Okay, real quick. So you were asking the question: is Jesus going to come in my lifetime? I think there are a lot of leaders and individuals who have believed that Jesus is going to come in their lifetime. When I look at, Matthew 24, Scripture, things happening in the world, I do believe that. But nobody really knows, and that's biblical. But here is the reality. All of us as influencers for the cause of Christ have a lifespan that we are going to be on this world to help get other people into a knowledge and understanding about the incredible love of Jesus. So there is an urgency because Jesus is coming soon. We know that in Scripture. When? We don't know when that's going to happen, but we do know that all of us as influencers for Christ have a lifespan, and I want to make the most out of every day that God has given me as a gift to influence for His cause. And so I'm going to take the time that I've been given to try to introduce people to the amazing love of Jesus that has changed my life. And so I believe He's coming. I'm going to live that way, and I'm going to take the urgency of my lifespan that is limited and try to make the most out of that gift of life that I've been given.
Nice. Okay, let me know what you guys think about what he said. Is he crazy? Does that resonate with you or not? One thing that I think about as far as the answer to that question is something that Martin Luther said. Not so much the Martin Luther, like the Dr. King Martin Luther, but the German reformer. Okay, so someone asked Martin Luther, what would you do if you knew Jesus was coming tomorrow? Like, what would you do? And Martin Luther said, I would plant an apple tree. Which is a really weird answer because, like, why the heck would you plant an apple tree? And the reason, like, what he was trying to say is that when he's thinking about what I would do if Jesus was coming, he simply looks at his calendar and says, what would I be doing tomorrow, period? And on his calendar, he was already planning on planting an apple tree. And so the point was not that you do anything different because Jesus is coming tomorrow or versus Jesus coming next year. The point is that every single day that you live your life, you want to be living your life in such a way that whether Jesus came today, tomorrow, next year, in a decade, you're living your life in a way that's honoring God, and then you're living your life in a way that is making a difference in the world around. So you don't have any regrets if you were to die today, or if Jesus came today, or if your timeline got disrupted in some way, shape, or form. So what I would say is the question, does Jesus come in my lifetime, is actually the wrong question. The question is how am I going to live my life today? That's a more important question. That's what I would say. Awesome. Okay, cool. So people are saying that really, like what you were saying, Ben, really resonates. Okay. Seeking Finding Heart says, none of us have the answer, but we should live as if Jesus is coming to... Absolutely. Set Sail from UK says, yes, Ben. Awesome. Alan says, well said, Ben. Indeed, no man shall predict the day of the rapture, but there's a certain urgency that we should live our lives with, for our life here on earth is minuscule compared to eternity. There you go. You guys got it. That's the idea. We want to be living our life today. It's not so much being afraid of the future or what's going to be happening. It's about living presently today in a way that's going to make a difference to the world. And so like that's really, I think you guys are onto it. That's what we as Seventh-day Adventists really want, the concept of Jesus coming that's how it's supposed to impact our life pretty much. All right, let's see what else you guys got. Give me some any other questions that you guys got, or anything else you guys want to talk about. Let's see. Okay, hey, Dan, that's a really good question. Does a Christian have to preach to fulfill the Great Commission, or can a Christian fulfill it indirectly by showing works or giving money to missionaries? Really awesome. Really, really, really great question. Okay, so one thing that I learned in a history class once was how the New Testament church was really founded and started, and how the early disciples, after the resurrection of Jesus, how they were able to get the message out there. And two main people played a huge role in the spreading of the Gospels. Now, obviously, people like Paul had their own tent-making ministries, but there was a lot of disciples out there that were just really like gung-ho on spreading the message. And two people made that possible, largely speaking. The first is Joseph of Arimathea, and the second one was Nicodemus. For those of you guys who are not familiar, those are two converts, or two followers of Jesus, who are both known for being very, 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 very wealthy. Obviously, Zacchaeus, many of you guys are familiar with, but Joseph of Arimathea was so rich that he actually lent his personal tomb to where Jesus was going to be buried in. These two guys funded the missionary endeavors of the early church and the mission efforts, and that was a large way that the gospel was able to be spread to the Jews and to the Gentiles. So certainly, like, financially supporting a church or a ministry or whatever the case is a valid way of using what God has given you to spread the kingdom. Now, while that's really true, I would also say though, if like financial gifts, like that's something that God has blessed you with, it's important not to just only write the check and to do nothing. I think that there's still a personal responsibility that each and every single one of us have, and how that's super, super important when it comes to like your just personal life. Witnessing, sharing the gospel, yes, obviously it does bless the person that you're speaking to, but probably just as important is how much it impacts you who is speaking. And so I would never want to miss out on that blessing. I would never want to miss out on that opportunity, even if I was the one writing the check. So both and. I think that's really important to get. Good question though. Oh, hey Blake, you want to jump in on this one? Come on, Pastor. I got a question from Sabrina. She's asking, how does someone get into ministry? She's in high school and is really thinking that she's being called to ministry and wants to know what's some advice. Is that something that you can talk about?
I can talk about it a little bit.
Sure. Okay, so guys, check it out. This is Blake. He's a pastor in Washington, right?
Yeah.
And he's with us on this trip. What would you say to the high school girl who is thinking that they're being called to ministry?
I would say if you're connected with a local church, try starting there and see if there's a ministry that you'd like to get involved with that's already existing, or if you have a specific idea of where you'd want to be in ministry. And again, if there's a local church you're connected with, start there. But that doesn't have to be where you stay. If you're like, I've got the faith, I've got the call, but I really feel like I need to have an education, then there are plenty of schools around, not just in our church, but that can help lead to that.
Yeah.
To prepare you for that. But I think a really good place to start is if you're called to a specific area, check and see if your local church has something going, and if not, then I'm sure Justin's got some connections that he could help set you up with.
Awesome, thanks, Blake. Dude, okay, so that's a really great response. As young people, I know that I'm guilty of this so often. Like, we don't value church nearly as much as we should, and I'm so guilty of this. Honestly, like it's something that I'm working on in my own life. I don't love church as much as I need to. I mean, I love Jesus. Don't get me wrong. Church is a harder thing, but there's such a tremendous value in church and in community. And if you're trying to learn about your own gifts and how you can serve God, that is a great place to start, because that's where you actually get to try it. You get to test it out. You volunteer at your local church. Try and see, okay, is there a place that I can use my gifts? Do I work great with children? Maybe the type of ministry that I need to be more involved with is, like, say, teaching, and then maybe you could shadow like one of the local teachers at your school. Maybe it's you can actually try and get experience preaching or something like that. So at your local church, that's something that's really, really helpful. All right, let's see what else I got you guys.
They probably do okay. I mean, it depends,
Oh man, you guys are coming in hard. Awesome. Okay, cool. Let's see. I'm looking through you guys' comments. By the way, they liked your answer, Blake.
Oh, okay. I think
And-
I'd add to that.
Oh, you wanted to add? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So Sabrina, by the way, says you can read the comment yourself. Thanks for answering.
Oh, cool. All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna add something.
I'm gonna
else.
add to it. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I think depending on how old you are, there are a lot of churches that are resistant to like letting somebody.
So, Sabrina, write in the comments how old are you, so that way we know.
Yeah, good idea. So depending on how active your church is and how much they lean on tradition rather than Jesus, they may be hesitant to put you in leadership and give you the opportunity for that. And if that's the case, I would say don't let that discourage you to the point of not doing it.
Yeah.
Keep exploring options, but if you're met with a closed door or an absolutely not here, don't be too discouraged, because it's not completely unusual.
Yeah.
And there are good things that you can be involved in, and it may not be at the church you're at right now.
Totally. Sabrina says she's about to be 18 years old.
Okay.
17 years old. Yeah, it's a really great point. Unfortunately, that is the response of many churches. Like, I've actually had that response to me personally when I was younger. I think is it in Timothy where it talks about letting no one despise you because you're young?
I don't know. Let me check.
I think it's in 1 Timothy where it says, like, don't let anyone despise you because you're young, but set forth an example for the believers in word, in deed, in purity, and something else like that. Okay, so basically the point is that maybe even if you're not in a position of authority, one of the best things that you could do is just live your life as an example, and that is in and of itself is a really great way to. Oh, there you go. Thank you. Okay, so it's 1 Timothy 4. Thank you guys, chat, for coming through on that one. Appreciate it. The point is that your personal life, your example is powerful. Maybe you're not actually up front in front of church. In fact, like for myself, I haven't actually been up front in front of church in quite a number of months. But does that mean that God isn't using me? Absolutely not. So just live your life in a way that will be able to be a blessing to others. There you go. Gleaner Now, 1 Timothy 4:12. Hey, Gleaner Now, awesome. Oh, what's the guy's name? Gleaner. I just, not Nathan. Oh, I feel so bad because we just had a meeting not too long ago. Good to see you guys. Gleaners in the house on the live stream. Good to see you guys. Awesome. Let's see what else. Let's see you guys' other ones. So this frustrating. Yes, William says it's so frustrating because tradition and closed doors are so common. It is true. It is a challenge, but the great news is that you and I get to be a part of fixing that and being a part of change. And so keep at it, even if it is kind of frustrating at times. All right, Dan is asking, does a Christian have to have a certain personality, or can he be quiet, loud, or an introverted, or an extrovert, or can everyone use God's personality or can everyone use his own personality for God? Okay, love that question. That is such a good question. And the name is Anthony. Thank you. There you go, Anthony. My bad. Anthony White. I remember. There you go. Different personalities. Can Jesus use different personalities? Of course Jesus can use different personalities. In fact, it's interesting when you think about the 12 disciples. There were 12 of them, and you know all the different, maybe you don't know all the names. There are 12 different names, 12 different men that Jesus had called to be his disciples. But how much do you actually know about each of them? Like, think about this. How much do you know about Philip? Like nothing, right? I mean, you know about Peter, you know about John, you know about a couple of the different disciples, but a lot of them you actually don't really know a lot about. Maybe because they were introverted, maybe because they were more shy, maybe because they're the kinds of people that work behind the scenes. And does that mean that they're any less called by Jesus, or that they were any less used by Jesus? Absolutely not. So do you need to have a certain personality type? No, not at all. Guaranteed, it's important to have people of all different personalities, all different kinds of temperaments, and it's actually best when we all work together. To give you guys like a practical example with like Emily and myself, I'm way more extroverted than Emily is, and she's way more introverted. I'm way more kind of like the upfront personality, and Emily's great at working behind the scenes. And I think that's actually one of the main ways that we work really, really well together. So yeah, God can use you for sure. Scorpio Michaelis is asking, can I talk about people who get hurt by people in the church, please? Recently left your old church and found a new one. Oh man, Unfortunately, that's real life, man. So many people. I mean, comment in the chat below if you've ever been hurt by someone in the church before. Maybe it was a family member, maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was even the pastor, or maybe just like an elder or someone else. Like, if you've been one of those people that's been hurt by church before, let me know in the comments below if that's you. Because I know that so many of my friends have experienced this. A lot of times that is definitely the case. And here's the thing. No matter where you go, unfortunately, that is exactly what's going to happen. Like, whether it's because you're a woman, or because you're too young, or because you're whatever, like if you're a different ethnicity, like that's going to be the case. And the reason why isn't because they're Christian or because they're atheists, or it's not like a religious thing necessarily. It's part of the human condition. Unfortunately, as humans and as people who fall short of what God wants us to do, we make mistakes and we judge other people and we're rude to people. Like, I know for myself, like I am rude, I can be mean, I can be angry to even the people that I love. Like, even with my wife, there are moments like I just like feel so frustrated and I yell at my wife and I feel terrible about it afterwards. Like, you guys saw the video I posted a couple weeks ago, the one I talk about like cursing at my wife. Like, that's real. Like, that happens, and unfortunately it also happens at church. But what do you do in that moment? Do you give up on people? Hopefully not, right? Because if you care about that person, why would you give up on them? So, you know what? There are times where I hurt my wife. Does she give up on me? Thankfully, no. In fact, that's where grace and love and forgiveness become the most powerful, is in those moments. So if you have had like yourself been hurt or wounded before in the past from a church, I think part of your calling as a follower of Jesus is to actually love and forgive. Now, of course, if they've done something completely inappropriate and there's things that are like, I don't know, like actual abuse or whatever the case is, you got to report it to the authorities. I don't think it's applicable to all scenarios, but I would say by and large, forgiveness and reconciliation are things that Jesus wants us to practice and to implement in real life. It'll happen. Get used to it. It sucks, but anytime you interact with other human beings, there is that possibility for pain. But that also means that there's that possibility for love, and I think that is tremendous. And the blessings of love outweigh the challenges of pain and suffering. Let's see what else. There you go. That's a really good point. When I get angry, I try to think about praying to God to forgive my sins and remove those thoughts. Yeah, really, really, really good. Gerardo, that's really nice. How can I be awesome like you? I don't know how awesome I am, but you're awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see. What do I think? Tim is asking, what do I think about Christian music versus non-Christian music? You guys who's been following me for long enough know I don't really care for music too much. I don't really listen to a lot of music. I'm more of like a podcast and audiobooks kind of guy. But when I do listen to music, I listen to music. I'm not too worried about it. To me, music is what you would call amoral. That means it's not necessarily, music isn't necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a neutral thing. What makes music good or bad are the values, the lessons, the morals, the subject matter upon which it talks about. To me, that's what determines if it's good or bad music. So if the music is talking about, I don't know, love and companionship, like that is actually a good thing. God created love. That's not necessarily bad. But if in that message, in that song, it's talking also about like the objectification of women or abuse or just like principles that aren't in line with the Bible, that's when it becomes bad. That's where it becomes an issue. So that's what my thoughts are on that. Let's see. Oh, that's an interesting question, Patricia. Is a church a cult if you aren't to pass the Bible and teach people for free as Catholic Church? I don't know if I understand this question. Okay, so is the church a cult if you aren't to pass the Bible and teach people for free like the Catholic Church? You may get kicked out. So is it wrong for a church? Maybe let me rephrase your question to see if I can understand it. Is it wrong for a church to charge money? Yes and no. I mean, obviously you have to be able to pay for a building. You have to be able to pay for ministries. Like there are people who, for example, support this channel financially through Patreon or whatever the case is. Is that wrong? Absolutely not. I mean, the Bible says that a workman is worthy of their hire. In other words, it's okay to pay people, but on the same end, like it's also important to be able to reach people who have nothing and to be able to serve them and to give. The Bible talks a lot about the value of generosity. So kind of a mixed answer there. Let's see. You guys, the chat's coming through really good. Sorry if I miss your question because I'm in the middle of talking, but feel free to repost questions if I miss your question. I'm going to try and answer them when I see them. Oh, that's a good question. Why? Okay, Seeking Finding Heart's asking views on why there's suffering with sickness and why God chooses to heal some and not others. Wow. What do I even say to that? I'd say the first thing that I would say is I have no clue. I don't know the answer to that question. Why does God do anything? Why does God choose to heal some? Why does God choose to heal others? I don't know. I'm not God. And I think that's, let's start with that. The answer, I don't know, is actually a really good answer because the reality is that's the most true answer. But then beyond that, like if I could understand why God did everything, then is he really God? The understanding of God is that he is smarter, he's wiser, he has a bigger plan for my life than I might ever understand. So I don't know, sometimes not healing someone from something might actually bring about good. And that sounds really callous to say, especially if I'm not the person who's hurting. Okay, so let me put it this way. Okay, so Emily's older brother, this was a few years back, this was maybe 10 plus years ago. Emily's older brother, his name was Brandon. Brandon was he was like a student, he was studying to become a pastor. He was involved with ministry. He worked at like a school and taught like the Bible as far as I understand and all that kind of stuff. One day when he's driving, like I don't know how exactly happened, but he got in a car accident and ended up rear-ending like a truck or something and boom, died right away. Okay, so Anthony, thank you. You know the date, you know the story. 2004. Okay, so that's 12 years ago. And he ends up dying like instantly. Why would God allow someone who's wanting to serve him to die? Like let's put sickness and health issues to the side. I mean, we're talking about death. Like that's way more serious. Why? Again, I don't know the answer, but could it be that he had a plan with that and that there was a purpose for that? Well, 12 years have passed and I've already met like at least, I want to say like a dozen people over the course of me being introduced. Oh, wow. Anthony is saying he was the chaplain when he died at your high school. Okay, so you actually know who I'm talking about Brandon. So many people were touched by his life and his ministry, and I've met several people who have said, you know what, it was at his funeral that I committed to giving my life to Jesus, or it was at that moment that I realized that it was that important. And like, I'm not saying that this is the reason why, because again, I don't know the reason, but so much good has come through that. And even my wife, Emily, who was, she was, how old was she at the time? 14 years old, like in junior high or something like that at that time. She wasn't like necessarily in love with Jesus or like a devout follower at that moment, but because of his example, because of his life, and even because of his death, she then was much more willing to follow Jesus. I mean, not immediately, of course, but like after the healing and the anger and the frustration like subsided, it was because of that moment that my wife has been drawn closer to God. So again, first answer, I have no clue. Second answer, maybe because God has a plan with it, and maybe because he wants to be able to use it for his glory. So that's what I would say. I know it's not gonna fit every situation in life, but that's what I got right now. There you go, Anthony's testifying. So much good came from it, despite how devastating it was for all his family and his whole school for years to come. Yeah, awesome, really good. Thanks for jumping in, Anthony. I appreciate you sharing. Really good. Okay, let's see. Looking through other questions. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. Seeking Finding Heart. Hopefully that gives you something to go off of. Gerardo's asking, what part of California am I heading to? Right now, we are about, 30-40 minutes outside of Sacramento. where we will be staying for the evening, and then tomorrow we drive like another 7 hours to get to Southern California. We'll be in Irvine for the Catalyst Christian Leadership Conference, and we'll be there for a couple days. So that's where we're going. Do I listen to Air One? No, sorry, I don't listen to too much radio or music, like I said earlier. My wife listens to it, and I think she likes it. All right, take care. Thanks for hanging out with me. See ya. Let's see, what else? Good way to share the gospel in a way that is not forceful and unwelcoming. Really good question. I would say do it first and foremost relationally. In other words, that means don't do it. I guess this isn't always 100% true, but the majority of time you do it. You should do it when you have a relationship with the person, because then it's not forceful, then it's not shoving, then you're just sharing your life. If you just go to the stranger and start preaching to them a 1 hour message and you're yelling and it just comes across really distasteful. So do it with people that you have a relationship with. My thoughts on mission trips. Ooh, I love mission trips. Mission trips are amazing. Emily and I are planning on going on mission trips, hopefully in the near future. But I think mission trips are fantastic. If you ever have an opportunity to go on a mission trip in your life, whether it's like nearby or it's overseas, whatever, always take up that opportunity. It's usually very, very, very life transforming. Lisa, how do I keep a strong relationship with God? I mean, it's like any other relationship. You have to spend time with. That's the major thing. How do you spend time with God? And there are multiple ways to do it. Like, the easy way to give the answer is obviously spending time in prayer and Bible study, and that's super important. And every single one of us really can level up in that area. But there are other ways to also spend time with God. Serving others is a great way to spend time with God. In worship, in fellowship, in just walking around and going on like a prayer walk, or just like being mindful of God's presence in your life. But basically trying to weave God into your life as much as possible. Man, goodness gracious, are we passing through some like cow fields? That is disgusting. It smells like manure right now. If you've ever been to the north side of Sacramento, you know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Oh, okay, so someone's asking, how do we fast? I've actually done a whole video on that, so I won't talk about that here, but check out my channel. I do have a whole video on fasting. Really good stuff. Let's see, what else? The Blind Jedi. Wow, okay, so you've been legally blind for 26 years and feel so blessed that God uses you in different ways. Yeah, that a lot of times are what many people would look at as our, I guess, like limitations or our challenges often become our best moments for God to use us, for sure. Okay, am I missing something? Because someone keeps posting like their age or something in the chat. I'm wondering if I'm missing like a question or a comment or something like that. Look at the pears, please. What in the world? I see the pears. Why are you commenting a bunch of pears? It's so odd. What are my thoughts on mental illnesses? I don't have a lot of experience with that. I've had experiences with like depression and stuff like that, and seeing like a counselor was very helpful. But if you are suffering from a legitimate like mental illness, definitely seek help from doctors or whoever else. Oh, the question above the peers. Oh, there you go. I was answering that question. Yeah. Like obviously talking to your pastor is helpful as far as like the support, like the emotional support comes. But at the end of the day, a pastor isn't like trained to deal with that. So I would definitely suggest seeing a professional. I'm not a psychologist, nor do I play one on the internet. So if you have challenges, if you have those kinds of things, it's super important for you to seek out help from the appropriate people who are trained in being able to do that. Let's see. Oh, good question. Should I go to Bible college for my own personal growth in the Word, or should I wait for God's green light to go instead? Okay, so in any major in any major life decision, and I would consider choosing like a college or choosing a school a major life decision. You know, school, career, your relationships, things like that. These are all really big things. I would definitely make it a matter of prayer, and I'm very hesitant to do something unless God has given me the green light on it. So even with like, I think you're like the reason why you're like worried about this yourself, the caution that you have, is really wise. Make it a matter of sincere prayer, and wait for God's answer. Because if He wants you to go, He'll make that clear. And it might be, if you've been doing that already and you don't have an answer, it might be that you're actually barking up the wrong tree. Maybe that there's something else that God wants you to do. I don't know. But I would definitely suggest praying and waiting on God on that, for sure. Okay, someone keeps commenting dates. What's the deal with the dates? Can someone let me know? Like, did I miss something in the chat? I'm trying to look back up further, and I'm wondering why there's so many dates in the chat. It's very weird. Anyways, let's see. Do I have any pets? I don't have any pets myself. In the family, we do have, there's like 2 dogs and a cat that live at the house that we're staying at, but those, I wouldn't consider that to be my pets. Oh, it's a spam bot. Oh, okay, that makes way more sense. I'm wondering why in the world, what's the value of a spam bot in a live chat? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Tim Steele, how do I go about getting to know a girl via non-dating? The same way you go about getting to know a guy via non-dating. You just hang out with a person. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Hang out with groups of friends, go bowling, or go to the movies, or like hang out and just have fun in an innocent way. Let's see. Let's see. It's kind of creepy. It is kind of creepy. Someone keeps posting random dates. How do you get over the hurts in your life when you're not having your father being in your life? Oh man, that's rough. I don't know that I'm equipped to answer that question. I mean, obviously praying for a more sensitive heart and praying that God will give you the ability to forgive is huge. But I think in moments like that, it is valuable to see like a family counselor. People like that really have the ability to help you get to the root of it and learn how to be able to forgive and to let go of things in a way that's going to be healthy for you. I would actually really strongly suggest, if you have an opportunity to do that, to do that. Questions on divorce, and do I think that there's ever instances when it is necessary? I think Jesus answered that question. He talked about, other than the case of adultery, divorce isn't really supposed to be a thing. So I would say that that's probably the best starting place for answering that question. How do I? What is this question? How do I differentiate God's voice and my own consciousness? Oh man, that's tricky. Okay, so usually your own thoughts tend to be very selfish. You want to do things for yourself to better yourself. I would say, largely speaking, when God wants you to do something, usually it's for the benefit of someone else. God doesn't call you to start a business so that you could be rich. God calls you to start a business so you can make an impact on the world around you. God doesn't call you into, let's say, a particular location so that you can necessarily have all the greatest advantages in the world, but rather that you can be a blessing to other people. Now, of course, God does bless you in the process, but I would say that that's maybe a one principle that you could use in differentiating between who it is. Is it yourself or is it God? Okay, I'm going to do 1 or 2 more questions because I'm getting bad connection again and my throat is starting to hurt and we've been on for 45 minutes. So let's see, last question. Let me see if I can find a good question else. Let's see. How do you show God to unbelievers in your stand-up comedy show and on YouTube when your audience is so Christian? Okay, so How do you show God to unbelievers in a stand-up comedy show? I don't know that you necessarily have to. I mean, I think that, I mean, you can obviously have comedy that's just great quality, it's clean, it's positive, like it has. Okay, so there's a Christian comedian online. He's a Christian. He doesn't always do like Christian comedy. His name is Michael Jr. Why is it two juniors? Why is it Michael Jr.? Look up Michael Jr. It's a black comedian. He does a lot of really good, clean comedy, and his idea is to try and spur people for positive change. I think that's possibly a way that you could use your platform, your comedy, your channel in a way to do that, or at least get inspiration from him. All right, last question, and then I'm out. Or Michael J. Jr. William Roy says, thank you. That's the one. Michael J. Jr. I was wondering why I was thinking Jr. And then last question. Okay, advantages, disadvantages of large churches and small churches. Okay, obviously one key advantage of a large church is resources. You can do a lot more in theory with a lot more people, a lot more money, a lot more volunteers. You can have a lot bigger impact. But then what happens is when you have such a large church, it's easy to kind of get lost in the crowd. You don't have as much of a personal feel. And that's why small churches are nice, because you can actually have like a one-on-one relationship with your pastor. You can have a closer within your small church. Again, but that doesn't necessarily mean that big churches are so impersonal and cold and you can't ever have like friends and family there. And it doesn't also mean that small churches don't get to accomplish a lot. I think it's just different feels for different people. Sometimes it's nice to have small churches. Sometimes it's nice to be in a big one. Personally right now, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't like huge churches and I don't like tiny churches. But yeah. All right, guys, my throat's hurting. I'm going to sign off. I know that there's a lot more questions. Sorry I couldn't get to all of them. But maybe next time I do the live stream, I'll see you guys then. But yeah, I'm gonna be sharing a couple other videos. I might miss Thursday's upload. I don't know for sure. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe to know when new videos are out, or at least to know when I go live next time, so you can get your question in at the same time. I'm gonna stream again later if I'm still on the road. Yeah, why not? Maybe I'll try to live stream tomorrow while we're driving one more time. If it's I'll see if I can do that again.
What's that?
But yeah, all right, guys, I'm taking off. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys next time. God bless.